Wow. Okay.
Lawlers, welcome back to another beginner champion guide. Today we're going to be covering off Cho'Gath in season 13. Cho'Gath is an ability power tank style champion that you can play across the top, mid, or even jungle roles. And in today's video we're going to cover off everything you guys need to know to pick this champion up right after seeing this video, and hopefully start having some fun, winning some games, and carrying with this cool void monster. So in the video we're going to talk about runes, items, skill order, and abilities, his basic combo that you can start to use to chunk out your enemy laner, and wrap it all up with a sample lane phase to give you guys a bit of a template to start to copy and have some fun in the first 10 minutes or so of your game. So if you want to try and get an idea of how to wrap everything up in this first half of the video that we're going to talk about, stick around to the end, watch that sample lane phase. It'll give you guys a really good blueprint of what to do as you start to play this champion. Okay, so Cho'Gath is a pretty good top laner right now in the current Season 13 meta. He has a A tier ranking and a positive 50% win rate, so pretty good champion to pick up in my opinion if you're looking for someone to add to your roster in the top lane in Season 13. In terms of the runes that you're going to want to run on tank Cho'Gath, you're going to run the Resolve with Inspiration Trees, and then here we've got Grasp of the Undying, Demolish, Conditioning, and Overgrowth, and then for the secondary tree you have the Magical Footwear and Approach Velocity runes. In terms of the extra shards, you're going to run attack speed, armor, and health. Summoner spells for Cho'Gath, there's always going to be Flash and Teleport. It's just really good with Cho'Gath to be able to flash and add some mobility to his kit, but also teleport around the map or lane phase and give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of some of the macro plays you might be wanting to looking to make with Cho'Gath. The items with Cho'Gath, again, pretty straightforward. As a beginner, you're always going to start with the Doran's Ring and health potions, and the mythic core item that you're looking to always buy is going to be Heartsteel, and you're going to try and follow that up with plated steel caps and Sunfire Ages. If you can get this 3-item set by 20 minutes, that's really your goal that you're trying to look for in terms of gold income, and start to being able to snowball and have big impact on your games. And for skill order on Cho'Gath, we'll talk about some of his abilities in a second here, but just for the skill order as tank Cho'Gath, you're going to want to start with E and max that out first, followed by W and Q. As you start the game, of course, then we're going to always make sure we start with a point in E, follow that up with Q, then W, and then max out the E, the W, and then the Q, and of course a point in your ultimate whenever you can. Okay, so let's chat about Cho'Gath's abilities really quickly here and give you guys an overview of what this champion can do. Passively here, Carnivore, killing an enemy restores 28 health and 6.1 mana. This is a great sustain tool for Cho'Gath in lane. It lets you get some health back and some mana back every time you kill a lane minion. And over the course of the first 5-10 minutes of the lane phase, that really helps let you sustain through the lane phase. If you took a really bad trade, for example, sit back, relax, chew up some minions, get some last hits, and you're going to see your health bar and your mana bar go back up pretty quickly. So really nice passive for Cho'Gath as a top laner to get some of that free sustain. Now in terms of his Q here, Rupture, he ruptures the ground, knocking up enemies for 1 second, dealing 80 magic damage and slowing them by 60% for 1.5 seconds. This is a really cool ability because it has an area of effect knockup. You can knock up an entire team if you happen to catch people on there, but in the lane phase it lets you not only damage the champion but also the minion wave if you want as well. The cast range on this is pretty far away, so you can play pretty safe and still catch people and knock them up, which means that if you did want to harass someone while they're under their own turret, you can still deal damage to them and not take any damage from the turret in return. So a really, really cool ability to have as Cho'Gath. And then his W here, Feral Scream. Cho'Gath's going to roar, silence enemies for 1.6 seconds, and dealing 80 magic damage. Again, this is an area of effect ability, so you could silence an entire enemy team, which means they can't use their abilities for those the time duration, but it also deals some magic damage as well. So a nice ability for Cho'Gath as his W. His E here, Vaporal Spikes. Cho'Gath's normal auto attacks here, you can see it's just normal auto attack. When you press E with this ability, his claws kind of start to glow and light up, and this means that his next 3 attacks are going to deal a little bit of extra damage and also slow by 40%. Okay, so again, you can see when I press E, the claws glow, and now I'm going to shoot some spikes as I attack whoever I'm attacking, whether it's a champion or a lane minion, and some spikes are going to shoot through and hit people behind. So all 3 of Cho'Gath's basic abilities have an area of effect damage to them, which just means he's great as a frontliner. If you can soak up some damage and just disrupt team fights by damaging, silencing, slowing multiple people, in those scenarios, you're just adding to the team's utility, so that's great. Now, in terms of Cho'Gath's R here, Feast, really unique ability for him. He feeds on an enemy champion, dealing true damage, up to 1200 right now with our current setup, to minions and jungle monsters. If he kills the target, he's going to gain a stack. Stacks make Cho'Gath grow in size and add health. Theoretically, you could stack this infinitely. The only issue is you can only gain 6 stacks from minions and non-epic jungle monsters. So that means that if I was going to chew on a minion in the jungle or a lane minion or whoever, I can only gain up to 6 stacks from minions and non-epic monsters. So the rest of these stacks, while they could come infinitely, I'm going to have to get them from champions or epic monsters like the Baron or the dragons. Okay, so here I chomped that minion. You can see we've got monsters eaten. We ate one a little bit earlier here before you guys started watching, but we have 2 stacks right now. I can get up to 6 stacks from minions or non-epic monsters. After that, I'm going to have to start chomping on barons, dragons, or champions, but theoretically you could keep growing in size here and just get huge. So just to show you guys the R stacking here, we've got a few minions in the lane. If we were to chomp these minions, we can get up to 6 stacks from minions or non-epic monsters. We've got our 6 stacks now. You can see even if I chomp this minion here, I'm not going to get any more stacks. It's going to cap at 6. But as I eat more champions and epic jungle monsters, I'll keep getting bigger and bigger. Again, infinite scaling theoretically is possible with this ability. Okay, so let's talk about the combo that you're going to want to use as Cho'Gath now in the lane phase to have some good success. So you're going to be playing against 2 types of champions when you're playing Cho'Gath. Obviously, the first and more common is probably going to be other melee style champions. When you're playing against other melee style champions, you can walk right up to them and start auto attacking them with an auto and then an E. So the E resets your auto attack, which means that you can get 2 quick autos out nice and fast. It's called an animation cancel, an auto attack reset, if you will. And then after that, you can kind of just throw in your W before they want to maybe cast one of their key abilities in a combo and follow it up with a Q to prevent them from running away if you're winning that trade, or you can Q them and walk away if you feel like you don't want anything more to do with that trade. So depending on the matchup, and this will be for you guys to experiment, generally against melee champions, you're going to want to walk up, auto E, W, keep autoing with those empowered auto attacks, and then if you want the trade to continue, put the Q behind them so they don't have an escape, and if they do, they'll get knocked up, or put the Q on yourself so if they follow you, they'll get knocked up as well, and then you can disengage. Okay, that's against melee champions. Against ranged champions, you're never really going to be able to get on them and start with your auto attack E combo, so you're going to have to try and fish with Qs, get them knocked up, and then auto E, W, and keep going with that combo that way. All right, and of course the R, if they're within execute health range, and you'll see that when the bar is highlighted above them, it's very visible. I don't know why it's bugged out right now on this dummy, but when they're in execute range, of course, you're going to want to try and end your combo by killing them with your R. And to do that, it's just a point and click. You can't really miss it, so just hover your cursor over them and press R, and it's going to feast on them. And hopefully, if you time it right, you're going to get a stack from that and grow bigger and get more health. Okay, so with that, let's wrap all this up into a sample lane phase now for you guys and show how you want to lane with Cho'Gath. Alright, so we're in our sample lane phase here against the enemy AI. We're in the mid lane. Again, you can copy these types of tactics in top lane or mid lane. We're going to wait to see who we're going to lane against before we pick our first ability. Generally, because you're going to be against most melee champions in the top lane, you're going to pick up your E. If you did happen to be against a ranged champion, you could start with Q, but because we're up against the Wukong, we're going to start with E. Now, this is matchup specific, but most champions, if you feel confident, you can start trading right away with your auto attack enhanced E, and then you're going to be able to win those trades, and even if they're kind of close, you can sustain back up from hitting enemy minions and chomping on minions. But if the enemy champion's not careful, you can see with Grasp of the Undying and our E's, we're going to be able to probably outtrade the enemy champions, and even if they trade back onto us with our passive, every time you see you kill a last hit minion, you're going to get some health and mana back, which just means that we have really great sustain with Cho'Gath. You can also use your E to help you secure some of these last hits and deal a little bit more damage to minions if you wanted to. Again, we're sustaining back up every time we last hit a minion. You can use your Q, your E, your W, anything that last hits minions will give you that passive sustain backup. So just be knowledgeable that you can use any of your abilities to also help you get that passive sustain. Okay, so we're just going to keep focusing on last hitting the best that we can. Even though we're a tank, obviously we want to make sure we get as much gold income from minions as possible. When you get your 3 basic abilities, now we can look to really trade. If it's against a melee champion, again, we're going to want to try and open up the combo with an auto attack E, and then we're going to follow that up with a W, and then if we want to keep the trade going, Q slightly behind the enemy champion so you can keep catching up to them and autoing them. Alright, if you do that successfully, then you just chill and you wait to do it again. Alright, non-stop while they're in the lane, you're just going to auto E, W, and then follow it with the Q to either keep the engage going or to disengage. Again, we're maxing out E as tank Cho'Gath, but the cool thing is, you can see the range of the E, we can cast it and hit the champion and kind of keep poking them outside of the tower range. So make sure you use this ability to kind of really harass your champions while they're under turret trying to farm. Same thing with your E, you can hit minions and the Vaporal spikes or the Vorpal spikes will go through them and hopefully damage the enemy champion as well, and you can do the same thing with the W. So really good poke tools and area of effect tools with Cho'Gath. You can see even if they dodge it, probably means they're going to miss some of those last hits. They're just going to be in for a really rough lane. Because you have the ability to do so much area of effect damage with Cho'Gath, if you did want to try and push away fast, you have that ability to do so with Cho'Gath. So you can really kind of decide when you want to back, like we're going to do now on a Canyon Wave. We're going to back and spend some money towards our first item and come back into lane, hopefully hit level 6 and then all in this Wukong and get a kill. So we're building towards Heartsteel here. You know, we have 800 gold, so we'll just get some health right now and head back. You could TP back to lane here if you wanted to, or if the wave was in a good spot, you didn't think you were going to miss any minions, we can just walk it back here. And then now we're going to look for an all-in on this Wukong. So same combo as before, auto E, W, Q, and then if he gets to within execute range, his health bar is going to glow red, and then we're going to follow that up and try and kill him. Okay, so here, you know, we could start with the Q if we really wanted to and try and catch him. If he's playing super defensively like he is right now, you can try and catch them with Qs if they're just not even walking up to auto attack range anymore for you to start your combo. But generally, you're just going to start with that auto E. Most people will be wanting to fight as you're playing this game, so he's not. So we can either just play really oppressive right now and just force him out of XP range so he doesn't even gain levels as the minions die, or we can again just try and fish with some Qs and see if we can catch him kind of out of step and out of position and try and all in him. So he's really being safe right now. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of jump out of vision. You can do this in top lane if you want, or in mid lane, and just try and throw a Q on where you think he's going to be. You can see there we kind of missed him, but here we can still hit him with some combos, and then you can R him when that health bar is that glowing red and chomp him, and you can see we got a stack on the Champions Devoured for our feast, and we're just going to get bigger. He's out of lane now, so you can use your E, Q, W, everything to shove these lanes out really fast. And again, if they're not here to harass now under tower, you can start to get plates and get extra gold income that way. I would use my E on the turrets. I think that works, so you can get a little bit more extra damage on your auto attacks as you're hitting this turret if you have the mana to do so. And then again, when they come back to lane, it's a little bit safer as a beginner to just throw out that Q and W and poke them like this with your E and all your other basic abilities while they're trying to farm under tower. Okay, if he wants to try and engage on a trade, again, as long as we're kind of hitting him with abilities outside of turret range, we can have really nice time poking this guy and sending him back to base. And that's pretty much it for the early lane phases Cho'Gath, guys. You're going to want to try and follow that basic combo and then either recall or take plates to keep your gold income going and then spend that gold to buy items and just keep getting more and more powerful. Alright, so hopefully that gives you guys everything you need to know to start to play this champion in Season 13 and have a good time with him. I'll catch you guys in the next video.